Welcome to the Love on the Go podcast, brought to you by Carolina's Matchmaker. I'm Lori Burzak, and for over 17 years, I've been helping singles find the relationship of their dreams all over the Carolinas. Along the journey, I've met so many amazing professionals and experts from various fields, and I'm excited to introduce them to you. What's my goal? I want to help you look at love and relationships in a new way and to grow in your understanding of how love works. Let's learn together how people have overcome personal obstacles and have found love, first and foremost with themselves. The ultimate goal is realizing that you are worthy and deserving of love. Let's get started. I am so excited to have Julie Labbe on our show today. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here too.
Yay. So Julie is one of my staffers. She's actually one of our directors, she's one of our membership directors. I have two. And Julie has been working with me for, is it about 2.5 months or so?
Yeah, almost 3
Yeah.
months.
Yeah. And so she sets up strategy sessions with people, and she and the client decides together what kind of program they're going to do and if now's the right time to move forward with the program.
Right.
And I thought it would be interesting to bring Julie on the show today just to talk about, like, what does that feel like to be on that strategy session, and what does it look like, and where does it lead someone to? And it's very enlightening, I think.
Yeah.
And I know that your background, you've been in matchmaking and coaching industry for quite some time, and that you've been responsible for hundreds of relationships and marriages with your former work, and that you really understand the value of a smart and thoughtful dating strategy. And that's what I have really come to appreciate about you. And I feel like, women really need a proper mindset to date well and attract the love of their life. And that's what we're doing when we're working with our clients. So I'm really, really thrilled to have you on today. Thank you.
I tell people that there really needs to be, there's the tangible side of the strategy, like what's the tactic and how are we going to approach this in a smart way. And everybody's different, everybody's a unique individual. But what I love about what we do, and just with your leadership and all of your experience with our team, is we do know what works. For most women, the strategy that's going to work is one where they're getting in front of more men. They're not putting themselves in the ivory tower and assuming that there aren't good men out there based on their experiences.
Yep.
But so there's, how do we do that in a tactful way, but in a very strategic way? But even if you have people in the right place at the right time, if their thinking around dating is not in the right place, one, it's just going to take them a lot longer. They're not going to have as much fun, and they're going to have missed opportunities. So I've always loved the coaching that comes with what we do, because we're human. We're going to bring old stuff to our dating life. We're going to bring history, and sometimes it's a little tweak, and sometimes we just kind of have to unravel those old patterns to make sure that we're opening ourselves up to that person.
Yeah. And so let's talk about some things. So a lot of times people will come to us and say, oh, I've been online dating. All the men are terrible online dating. We've heard that a lot. I know some of you listening are thinking, yeah, that's what I have experienced too.
Right.
So what would you say if somebody said that there's no good men online?
Yeah, I would say I can understand how you would think that based on what you've told me in terms of how you're dating. So it's very clear to me that if they're on again, off again, the apps, or if they are not going out very much, if they're not investing time and resource in it, then yeah, I can see why what they're seeing would make it look like there's not the right men. But there are great men. We see them all the time. We know they're there. And and the types of men that are online, there is going to be a spectrum just like anything, but we know how to find the ones who are serious about dating. And there are men online who really are serious. They want to fall in love, get married, find their life partner. If you're doing it the wrong way, then you're going to be you're going to be shown a population of men that give you the impression that they're not serious, that they
Right.
aren't aligning with what you want.
Right. And what we do to get people online that I think is so important between our styling and our photography and our makeup and the profile write-ups, all the things that we do on this services end of things is really what shoots people up to the higher algorithm. Something I didn't realize when I first started working with people with this program. And if you've been online before, you may see a certain level of guy or woman. So, I mean, work with men and women with this. That when you implement better pictures, better profile, and more strategies, you see a whole different level of person. And that's what's so compelling. And that's what we really want people to understand. But it's not so easy to figure out the best pictures, the best profile, all the things, and then really kind of dig in. And that's why people are hiring us.
Yeah. That's totally when I learned that. And so people are so surprised when they hear that, but I was too, that there is a way to have the algorithm work in your favor. The photos are so beyond what anybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Part of the reason you start to get elevated on those platforms is because you stand out. But also what I love about our photos is that it tells your story in a very real, authentic way. Like one of our clients' photos, she is like, her laugh is so attractive. And to be able to pick that up in her photos with her just natural beauty. And I mean, that wasn't something that she was doing before with her photos. Like, here's me on this trip and here's me with my friends. And so she looked like she was fun, but you couldn't really get her vibrancy. And completely changed, the types of men that were interested in her and who she was interested in. So that's a big part of, but you're right. We bring a lot of experience and years of expertise to know what works.
Yep.
And so that's a big part of what shifts. Types of men that you're seeing.
And she's been dating up a storm, and she's actually in Miami. That client. So people often ask me, are you only working in the Carolinas? No. I mean, people are hiring me from all over. So I think that's a beautiful thing. And then she had certain requests in terms of religion and politics and geographics and all the things. And we've been serving it up. She has been meeting some wonderful people. And then, of course, running the background checks. So the service end of it is like there's plenty of companies out there that sell to people and then they don't service them well.
Right.
And, that's why I love what we do at Carolina's Matchmaker, because we're actually doing great service for people. And at the end of the day, if they don't find somebody, it's not because of the service. It's really because A, it just wasn't their time, but B, they've learned all the tips and tricks and they've gotten a ton of support. And they can either do it on their own, or they can renew, or they feel like they've definitely had an experience. Listen, there's no guarantees in life with anything, right? But if you don't try something, what is ever going to change in your life? And that's the whole thing.
That's what I love about the strategy sessions is that, I can confidently tell them you are not single. Well, you could be single because of things that you're doing. Let's get real. But a lot of it is because you're not doing it the right way. And it's just super simple. People don't tell me things that are that different, right? Like they can pretty much predict what people are going to say about their online dating experience. And it all comes down to consistency and going on dates, but also, our coaches, our matchmakers, our boots on the ground, like they're in our clients' profiles once or twice a day, also bringing in their many, many years of matchmaking experience to help vet out who are the people that you should be meeting, who really passes the test. And I think that one story of our client who is passing on the same guy over and over and over and over again, she started working with us. She finally went on a date with him. And then remember, she emailed us a month ago or so and said that she was in a 6-month relationship with that guy. So,
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need an expert view on, we know how to read between the lines, we know what to look for. And so you might be missing opportunities, or you might be going out with the wrong person. And so we can help guide with that too.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not just about how do you get seen and who's reaching out to you and what's the best letter writing. It's also pushing past your fears about dating older or dating younger, or how do I look, or how am I showing up, and how's my anxiety level?
Right.
And if they don't text message me every day, what do I do about it? And how do I text message? And, how do I get from date number 2 to date number 3? And when do I have sex with someone?
Right.
That last question is one that I am being asked constantly.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
It's just such an important step in a relationship. And I think that people rush it in the beginning, and then it sets off every anxiety bell for a woman when they're not treated in the manner that they want to be treated, or they're not feeling secure about the relationship.
Right.
And kind of that's the key. And I was just talking to one of my clients who's in a relationship. It was like literally the first guy that she met after I got her on Bumble. And I basically said to her, "You are not allowed to have sex with him until I tell you it's okay." And she actually listened to me. I'm like, "Yes, go girl." Because she was somebody that would have sex, when she felt like it, or when the mood was right. But the problem was, if he wasn't treating her exactly the way she needed to be treated, she got so anxious.
Yeah.
And then she would end up aborting the relationship.
Yeah.
And I talked to her about how that security needs to absolutely be there. And that's what really turned the corner for her. He didn't care. He'd already been there, done that.
Yeah.
So he was just really enjoying spending time with her and getting to know her. And so what happened was, we waited until she always knew when she was going to be seeing him again. He was texting her or calling her on a daily basis. He was treating her respectfully. He said to her, "Listen, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm not dating anyone else.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in dating anyone else. And I just kind of wanted to tell you that." And they both got off Bumble. She told him the way that she wanted to be treated when they were, long distance, when she was away and he was home, and spoke up for herself. And then when the time was right, they made it happen. And I was like, brilliant. And now they're going like gangbusters in terms of relationship and happiness factor. She's calm. She's easy. There's no anxiety there. It's so great.
I was just going to say, it's so easy to stress out the relationship.
Yep.
Early on, because you're just repeating old patterns,
Yeah. It's like a perfect example of my coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the other big thing I hear too is, bring up the example in a strategy session. Because I think what happens a lot of times is people jump in too soon and they put all their eggs in one basket. And because they're thinking he's cute enough, he's nice enough, but the last thing I want to do is go back online and start the process over again. So I'm just gonna, and so, I've shared examples of clients who were like, just date a couple people at a time. That doesn't mean you have to get intimate with everyone, but when you're doing that, you have your own compare and contrast. And that's sometimes you might end up with the person that you maybe would have not met on paper. But when you're working with our coaching and someone's saying, "I know this is the type of guy you totally normally go for, but you've told me you can't stop thinking about him, and here's why. Here's who we're going to move forward with."
Right. And same goes with men. So I have a man that we have online dating. He's also doing matchmaking with me. So it's like a dual pronged approach. And he's gone on 2 dates with one woman, but he's not really sure that he's totally attracted to her. And so on one hand, he's saying to me, "I don't know that I'm ready to settle in with that person. I want to be multiple dating." So of course I said, "Make sure you don't sleep with her, because she will go insane." I already know that's going to happen, because she's already like a little bit of an anxious attachment style. And then secondly, it's like leading her on. So just control yourself. And he's like,
Yeah.
that's not a problem. And like he didn't want to lead her. On one hand, he didn't want to lead her on, but on the other hand, he wanted to just see, is there anything there? So I
Yeah.
encouraged him to go out with her again. And then also he's getting online, and we're about to, get him up and running. So
Yeah.
I think that sometimes men need to date multiple people too and see what feels right, and not settle on the first person that
Yes.
gives them a long lasting eye. I mean, if
Mhm.
you start comparing, okay, how does she make me feel? Is she respectful? Is she too clingy?
Yeah.
Is this somebody that I could see in the long term? Do I want to introduce her to friends? If I took her to a holiday party, would she be comfortable working the room?
Yeah.
How is she in public and in private? All the things that you need to be looking for. And sometimes it's nice to have a couple different people to kind of bounce off of and just keep it romantic light.
Yeah. Yeah. Which doesn't make you a player. That's a
No,
totally different
it's called dating.
set of people. Yeah. It's just dating. Yeah. It's
Right.
dating.
Yeah. And it's not like you're benching somebody, or, you're putting somebody on hold or whatever. It's just dating. And, they always say all's fair in love and war. And this is a good example of it. Like, you should only assume, if you're online dating, that the people you're dating are dating multiple people
Yeah.
until you have that conversation.
Right.
And even then, get on your apps and delete them while you're together,
Right.
so and I do think it's important for the man in the heterosexual world to be the one to say, I don't want to meet anyone else. Like, I'm really
Mhm.
content and happy with you. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
And then the woman can be like, okay, let's see where this goes, if they want to. And if they
Right.
don't want to, they can say, well, you know what? I really appreciate that about you. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you better. But in the meantime, I need a little bit more time to make my decision. And there's nothing wrong with that.
But just be honest, right? Be honest.
Yes.
Do you find with both men and women, it's equally challenging, or like everyone feels a little nervous or timid about when to have that conversation?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's so obvious. Sometimes people say, I don't even need to have that conversation. I just know that they're not dating somebody else.
Mhm.
And they could be wrong, or they could be right.
Yeah.
But it's all a matter of trust, and, how intuitive are you? How keyed in are you really? And,
Mhm.
and it's okay. And you know what? If you assume something and you're wrong, all right. So it's another learning lesson in life,
Learning.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's totally fine. So I definitely think the fears, getting back to that a little bit, I think one of
Mhm.
the fears is that they're going to come across the same people that they've always come across.
Right.
But maybe with the coaching, we can point some things out to them. Like, maybe we've stretched their parameters a little bit, right?
Right.
Like, maybe you don't need a woman that's, 5'6" and taller, or you don't need the man who's 6'4" and taller.
Yeah. Right.
So height, geographics, like, stretch it out by 20 miles, 50 miles, 60 miles if you can, right? I mean,
Right.
I've had clients date in other cities. I mean, I've had marriages, Wilmington to Raleigh,
Right.
Atlanta, Georgia with Raleigh. I mean, you just never know I'm making a match right now with a guy in California, with a woman in North Carolina.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, you don't know what you don't know. So
And
might
I
as
think
well try.
age is a big one too.
Yes,
I've had so
totally.
many marriages from people that realized, and I can understand if they're online or doing it by themselves, why their parameters start to shrink.
Yeah.
It makes sense based on what they think is available to them. And so then they get even more selective.
Yes.
We teach our clients how to be selective in a different way
Hmm.
so they can still have all those possibilities, but to be
Yeah.
focused on the right things.
Yes.
How many kids someone has. I mean,
Yeah. Totally.
yeah.
100%. And then what about, like, you and I were talking about this yesterday, like, fast tracking
Hmm.
someone. It often will take a single person about 7 years to find somebody on their own. So when
Right.
they hire Carolina's matchmaker, we're going to fast track you, because we're really focusing, and we know that anything you really focus on comes to light. It lights up,
Yeah.
and energetically. And then also, like, a lot of professional men and women that may be listening today, you and I both know that the reason that you are where you are in your company, or, if your own company or working for another company, is because you put the time and effort into it to get to where you are. That is your success. It's the same thing with online dating or with matchmaking. You have to make the investment of your time, energy, and finances in order to really focus on your love life. And, people always say it's like, at the end of the year, New Year's resolutions. Oh, I want to focus on finding a girlfriend or a boyfriend this year. Okay, what are you going to do about that?
Yeah.
You're just going to keep doing what you've been doing, and like another year is going to go by because you're hoping that maybe you'll meet somebody when you're out to dinner with your buddies.
Yeah.
Or maybe that hot girl online will finally respond to you. It's like, hire the matchmaker and I'm going to get you in front of the hot girl, right?
Right. Yeah. And I have so much, my heart just always aligns with the people that I talk to in these strategy sessions, because it's very common to go through a holiday or an event. And that's the catalyst for, it makes me remember that I'm alone, or it makes me look at my friends who are in marriages and know that I want that, or my friends are, so this time of year is when we talk to a lot of people. But so they go back online or doing the same thing they've been doing, because they do go back to it with lots of hope. Like, hey, I'll go do, but that, I think, is where people get so discouraged, and they get kind of that dating fatigue, because nothing about online dating has changed just because you took a 3-month break, right? It is going to look exactly the same, just like wishing for a promotion or wishing for better health, or I'll go back to the gym and that means I'm, pursuing my goals again. Nothing's going to change unless you level up. You have to level up. So you either hire the personal trainer, you hire the matchmaker, you hire the business coach, so that you get to that next level. And I think when people realize that they can give themselves permission to hire experts in an area of their life that isn't where they want it to be, then all those, kind of thoughts about, well, I should be able to do this on my own, or what, it must be me, or it must be the men, or whatever, all that goes away, because they realize, no, I just needed to do this in a way that was different. And that's where our clients are getting into relationships, right? Because they're taking our lead, they're doing something different, they're putting some time and resource into it.
100%. So let's talk about coaching and not getting in your own way. I think that a lot of times people will sabotage their efforts with dating. They'll start going out with someone, something or other will happen. I have a client who, this happens a lot. Okay, guys, men that are out there listening to this, let me give you a little bit of a hint here. This is such good advice. Women are not turned on necessarily by selfies of you in your car and wherever else that you are. Men get excited about women's photos more than women get excited about men's photos, especially if they're not all that. Like, I've had women say to me, I don't know why he's sending me all these pictures. I get it. For a man, falls in love visually. A woman falls in love in a lot of different ways. So just remember that men and women are different. Women, I think it's more impressive for a woman to get a text message with something interesting and dynamic that you're going through right now, and how that made you think of them. Oh, I was just, I'm in New York right now. I'm looking at Radio City Music Hall. I know that we talked about that. And, I was looking at and here's a photo of that. Like, that could be fun, holiday season. Here's a picture of Rockefeller Center. Look at the ice skaters, maybe a little video. So much fun. Maybe we can be here next year at this time. That could be cool. So like the promise of something that's genuine. Or, I'm just the idea that somebody is thinking of you. I mean, it's really compelling, isn't it? It's
that's
so
totally
fun. It's so fun in the beginning when you realize that you're on somebody's mind. Oh my God. Right.
And
like,
you share like a common, or like, oh, I'm sitting in this conference and it's super boring. What are you doing? Like in kind of a fun, fun, witty way,
Yeah. The banter is what gets women excited more so than a selfie in the car. So just keep that in mind. And, I think that it's just important to know what turns on a woman and a man differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I think honestly, I think a lot of the sabotage is based on old stories. But a lot of it too is by not having skills. Like dating really it's not a skill set you should be expected to have, But I think of like messaging and doing all of that, that is not so that you can have a new pen pal. It is to get on the date.
That's right.
And I think a lot of dates get boshed, if you will, because of people thinking they have to be the wittiest person in the room, and so be fun, but the idea is like, let's get on the date. So I think a lot of that happens at the beginning, but I think a lot of the fear too is, fear gets in the way of a lot of things, a lot of success.
Yes.
And so when we're coaching people, if they really start to open up to us, we really find out what the fear is. A lot of times it's fear of rejection. A lot of times it's, trust issues or whatever. So you kind of need, our clients need a third party, really all people need a third party, bringing in a perspective that's different than what's in their programming they've had for all these years.
Right. And that third party is not necessarily your mother or your sister.
Right. Or your friends.
Your married friends or your single friends.
Yeah. Right.
Because they've got their own slant on things, right? Yeah. Hire the matchmakers that know what we're doing. And we've seen pretty much every scenario. Although I will say, like, every now and again, I'll get a new one. I'm like, here we go. Haven't heard that one before. Oh my God, the stories, right?
Yeah.
Ugh, there are so many out there. And then I think that another sabotage, we've kind of talked about it, is the walls that people have up against like really letting love in, right? And because they're afraid the person's going to die on them, the person's going to leave them, the person is going to get tired of them, you're going to get old and the person isn't going to be attracted anymore. The person isn't going to put the time and effort in, just all the stories that you make up in your mind based on previous experiences. Because that's the way our brain works. Our brain only wants to protect us, right?
Right.
So we need to let our spirit and our soul, our true higher self needs to take over in this kind of a process.
Yeah.
If you could follow that. And a lot of times people are so, cerebral around all of this. Okay, well, if this happened then that's going to happen then. It's like, no, 2 and 2 doesn't always add up to 4.
Right.
Look at 2 times 1 or whatever. So girl math, right? So I really try to work with people on that, and my matchmaker coaches do as well, is setting everything aside and try having a brand new experience with dating, selecting people to be dating, and all the things. And if you really can sort of open up, be positive, let love in, let light in, you will find somebody. But if you're going into it with, he needs to be handsome, 6'4" or taller, and a powerful man, and MBA, and he needs to earn over $1 million a year and go in 5-star hotels and travel the world with me and whatever. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. It's so hard. Just open up your mind.
Yeah. I think the big coaching tip that I try and impart on people, because it worked for me in my now awesome second marriage, last marriage, but I was a single mom dating after divorce, and I had been single for 7 years, and I hired a coach to help me, and I met my now husband. But she was all about, and I know we talk about this too with our clients, is getting them to understand and know what they want to feel when they're with something versus do they check all these things off the list. And when I switched that paradigm, And it was more like, how do I want to feel when I'm
Yep.
sitting across the table from this person?
Yeah.
Radically different than the things that I thought I was supposed to be looking for. It just is a totally different way to, like, it's so much more fun to, you know, take so much of the stress out of it when we show people how to date in a way that's totally different than how they've done it before. Because usually, you're right, it's very black and white and very linear. And this is not, it's not, it's very
Totally.
process.
Now with the matchmaking, I know that you talk about this, you know, with your clients to be. So the men hire us for the matchmaking, and we have 10,000 plus amazing women in our database. They haven't hired us, they're just sitting in our database. They may or may not ever get a phone call. But if we find somebody fabulous in there, I shouldn't say, but and when we find somebody fabulous in there for our client, we screen them out at that point, and we make a personalized introduction if we think it's a great match. Then we get feedback from both parties. And we cross our fingers and toes that it's a great match and that we're done and they live happily ever after. It's so easy and so turnkey for a man to hire my company. It's a no-brainer for a successful guy who has some means. Maybe he set it aside. You don't have to be rich to hire a matchmaker, but you do need some discretionary income. So a lot of people have money in savings, and you figure out what is your highest priority right now. Is it to buy the house, or maybe you wait on the house, you spend a little bit of that money on the matchmaker, right? And then you buy a house with your future wife.
Right. Or the trip with your future wife, or
all the things, the things. I think people, sometimes men, I think, don't want to spend money on themselves. Either A, they don't want to ask for help.
Right.
They think they think they should be able to do it on their own, because like that's what a man would do. But instead, I want people to reframe their thinking and think, okay, I'm a successful guy. I'm busy. I go to the gym. I hang out with my friends. I have my family. Maybe you have kids from a previous marriage. You spend time with them. You've got your work. You've got your hobbies. Uh, You're sick of online dating. It's not working. You find attractive women, but then, the women aren't writing you back because they're all getting inundated by the men. And frankly, they get crazy over how much attention they're getting, and they just shut their accounts down. I've heard that time and time again from my beautiful women. And like, why wouldn't you hire a consultant, recruiter, and coach to assist you with this one part of your life that just isn't working out for you right now, yet is the most important thing? A lot of times men, they want to have kids, or they just want to have fun and meet somebody. Not that you can't have fun with kids, but there are years there that isn't as much fun, let's be honest. Where you have a beautiful wife that you can now travel with, or life partner that you can do things with, and just enjoy your life. Like, why wouldn't you just spend a little bit of money, or, it's not a little bit, it's an investment, and just, money comes and money goes, but time, you can never get that back. So why not just bite the bullet, hire the matchmaker, get in front of the right people, get the coaching, which you get with matchmaking too. Men are doing things wrong when they go on dates. Oh gosh, I once had a client and I would get the same feedback from the women. He just kept he kept staring at her boobs.
Oh gosh.
I was like, oh, are you kidding me? So
he was probably nervous when you think about it.
Well, I mean, he was checking her out.
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, here's the deal. You need to not do that. Stare at her in the eyes only.
Just in the eyes, in the eyes, in the eyes.
Keep your eye on the ball here. Oh my God. And when he said that, when I told him that, he was like, oh, I know I do that. I look people up and down. I can't help. I'm like, yeah, you can help it. You just need to focus your brain. So he did, and I didn't get that comment again. Thank goodness. And then there's the guys.
But that's a huge difference. I mean, that probably made a huge
difference. And what about the guys that they sit in the booth at the bar and then they're looking up at the TV screen above the woman's head?
Oh gosh.
I want to know what the score is.
Yeah.
Don't go to that place when you're on a date.
Yeah.
please, especially your first date. It's
It
one
is
thing when
like
my
a little
husband,
magnet though. It's like,
it is like,
yeah,
I went out to dinner with my husband last weekend, and um I was looking around. I'm like, okay, there's more TVs behind me. Why don't you sit in front of me so that you can watch the game behind me? I don't care. Watch the
yeah,
game. Because I knew he'd be happier, and like I just don't care. But when you're initially dating, that's a big thing.
yeah, yeah.
Focus, dudes.
So women, be strategic too. Like,
Yeah.
think of where you're going to sit so the guys, help them out a little bit. I do that with my boys when it's like, if we're going anywhere where there's a TV, I'm like, I'm sitting on the side with the TV. You're sitting here because I want to be able to talk to you.
They're like, okay, mom,
Yeah,
fine. Guys need to hear this stuff too. And then sometimes men either over text or under text.
yeah,
They don't know what to do, especially between like date 1 and 2. Don't let too much time go by.
right.
And don't,
What is your rule on that? Do you have a rule?
well, my rule is try, if you're into somebody, try to nail down the next date while you're on the date with them.
On the first date? Oh yeah,
Yeah. I mean, worst
that's
comes,
really confident.
here's what could happen, honestly, is the woman could say, yeah, that sounds great. And they could either say, yeah, Thursday night works for me, or they could say, let me check my calendar and I'll get back to
Because
you,
it's so full.
which is not a great sign, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's fine. So the problem is sometimes women are people pleasers, and they'll agree, and then
Mhm.
they'll either not respond to the guy's text or they'll cancel. And the guy's like, but I'm confused. She
Right.
told me she wanted to go out again. It's like, all right, well, I guess she doesn't really. But you got to shoot your shot,
Yeah.
because I'll tell you one thing. If a woman is on the fence and the guy is secure and articulate and he takes an action, that's pretty hot,
100%.
right?
100%. I mean, that's why I will never forget feeling with my husband. I was like, I don't even know. I mean, we had a great first date and we
Yeah.
were together ever since, but
Yeah.
it was that he asked me out on the second date on the first date. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a stud.
Yes.
Made a huge difference for me.
Women love an alpha male.
Yeah.
That's their favorite type. And when I say alpha, it doesn't have to be that he is the CEO type.
Not
It could
controlling. Yeah.
only be that he's decisive and secure and he takes an action.
Yeah.
That can be alpha too. Even if you're introverted, it doesn't matter.
Totally.
Claim your stake and make it happen.
Yeah.
Worst that comes to worst is she doesn't go out with you again. Okay, fine. It's kind of like, remember like middle school dances? The poor boys that had to walk across the room.
Guys have
Remember
it tough.
in the beginning where it was like the girls are on one side of the gym and the
Yeah.
boys are on the other. And the guy would have to walk across the gymnasium and am I dating myself? Do they still do this? And say to the girl, will you dance with me? And then the
Right.
girl might be like, no.
Right. Okay, I'll
That
go
is
back to the other
such
side of the gym now.
an important skill
Yeah.
set to have, is you need to be okay with rejection,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah. And the same
Everybody
with
does.
women. Women need to be afraid of, be okay with rejection too.
Yeah.
Just
And at the end of the day, I love this, but you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. And vice versa. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person.
Yeah.
And so if you just go into every date with that little mantra, you'll just be yourself and it's either going to work out or it's not, you know?
100%. Well, this has been really fun. Okay,
Oh,
so for some of you out there that are thinking, okay, well, how do I set up a strategy session with
yeah.
Julie? So, what you need to do is just fill out a profile on my website, carolinasmatchmaker.com, and load up your pictures, fill out the different fields. It may take you anywhere between 10 and sometimes people take longer to
Yeah.
fill it out. The more thorough you are, the better.
The better. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we will set up a time to speak to you. Or
Right.
we'll send you an email. One or the other is going to happen.
Yeah.
We're really straightforward people, telling them if we think now's a good time to start or in the future, not a problem. It's just a conversation. There's no fee to have a conversation. And then you can talk about fees during the conversation about what it looks like to work with Carolina's Matchmaker. So you can see Julie is very approachable
Mhm.
and easy to talk to. I also have other people on staff that you could possibly be speaking to as well. But it is a non-threatening conversation about your goals, about what you want your life to look like, and what possibly could be standing in your way.
Yeah.
And how we can get to the finish line.
Yeah. How are we going to get you there?
Yep.
And yeah, it's super low pressure, 45, 50 minutes over Zoom.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I'll know if you'll be successful with us, in which program. I mean, it truly is like, let's nail down a strategy that's going to be best for you.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm excited. It's been great. It's been a great conversation. You guys follow me on Carolina's Matchmaker on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. I'm at Lori Burzak. And let's make love happen for you.
Yes. And this is a great time to be dating. So don't wait till the new year. Like reach out to us now because
100%.
We get busy, but it's no reason to wait for your life to happen because there's this like January 1 date. Like, reach out to us now.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks for listening to Love on the Go. I hope you join us on our next episode. You can make sure to know when it is by following us wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed it, it'd be great if you left us a review. I'd appreciate it. In the meantime, to learn more about me and how my team can help you, visit carolinasmatchmaker.com. Until next time.